Hey there, hello guys, how are you all doing? Hoping that all of you guys are doing super duper amazing. Welcome back to today's session. So in today's session, we'll be starting off with a brand new chapter. And the chapter is nothing but sorting materials into groups. Okay, so before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Anup Manoharan, and for those of you who don't know, I did my aerospace engineering and I've been teaching for the past 5 years now. So I'm super excited because we are starting off with a brand new chapter and hoping that all of you guys are making the best out of it. That's more important, right? So we're gonna start off this session with a simple quote. All right, a very simple quote, but it means a lot to me. The quote is, "It always seems impossible until it's done." Now, this quote actually reminds me of a story which happened very long ago. So the story goes like this. The first steamboat, when it started, all the critics who were standing in the shore were like, this is not going to start. This is definitely not going to start. And once it started, and when it was moving, when it started moving, and the critics changed their total tone to, now it's never going to stop. So there will be people who keep telling you what can and what cannot be done, but do not trust those people until you have tried it out yourself. So with that note, I would like to start off this chapter. Like I said, we're going to start off with this chapter, which is nothing but sorting materials into groups. So to talk about the major subtopics in this chapter, we have only two. We have objects around us, and then we have properties of materials, because of which these objects are actually classified, right? So now I want to start off this session with a simple question. How many of you guys have visited a store? It could be a grocery store, or it could be an electronic store, or if you walk in a supermarket, whatever that is, you've probably seen it one time or another, right? Now when you walk into a store, imagine you're in the middle of, let's say, you're in an electrical store, in a hardware store. Now, when you look around, all you see is things that are meant to be there. For example, let's say you walk into a grocery store. You see all the cornflakes and the Maggi packets are on one side. Then you have all those rice in one side. Then you have let's say cold drinks in one side. So everything is sorted out and kept according to the way things are. Have you ever seen a washing machine near a phone in a store? Obviously no, right? You would have never, that never happens, because everything is sorted out in the way it is, and everything is organized. Now this is very, very important, because it is much more easier for you to find out this item. For example, let's say you want to buy a packet of Maggi. Now as soon as you walk into the store, if you ask someone, they'll tell you, go to aisle number 9, you'll get it. And that is how they know that they know that is going to be there, and the only reason that they know it's going to be there is because it is sorted, it is grouped in such a way, right? So this grouping of materials is very, very important, and the way that it's done depends on several factors. For example, the usability, the purpose of it, the size of it. It could be the color of it. It could be any or n number of criteria, but they're all grouped in such a way. This grouping is called as sorting. Very simple. Sorting is nothing but grouping of any item according to their type. Very simple. Now, in sorting, you have different kinds. Now, for example, if you look at all these examples, there are certain materials like wood, metal, plastic. But for example, let's say a chair. A chair can be made out of wood. It can be made out of metal, or it can be made out of plastic as well. So there are several items that you see can be made up of, or any of the items, right? Any of the materials that you see. Now, what do you think are the criteria of sorting out these materials? What do you think that the criteria are? If you look into it, it is all depending on the properties of the material that they use. For example, metal or maybe plastic. Now, you can't pour hot water into a plastic cup, because why? It'll melt. It'll the shape might change. But rather, you can put a hot water into an iron box. So it all depends on the the purpose of it. But the purpose again boils down to what kind of material that you need for that particular purpose. Right. Now, talking about the properties of material, the first property is nothing but the appearance. How do they look? When you think about that, the first thing that comes into my mind is nothing but how shiny or dull it appears. Now, for example, a log of wood, even if you shine light on it, it does not shine. whereas a well polished coin or gold, on the other hand, shines as soon as as soon as you shine light on it. So this again depends on the property of the material that it is made up of. For example, when I talked about wood, wood is made up of what? Wood itself, right? A log of wood is made up of wood itself, whereas a gold chain is made up of gold. So the property of the material is what determines whether it is going to shine or is going to be a dull material. So based on this, you can classify the items into metals, and then we have non-metals. Sorry about the picture overseeing it, but it's actually metals and non-metals, because we have learned in the past that metals are very lustrous, means it can actually shine, whereas non-metals cannot shine. Not all non-metals, but the majority of non-metals cannot shine, right? So this property of a material which can shine when you put light on it is called as luster. So luster is a property of material which helps it to shine or is dull. So one of the most simplest example is nothing but iron, copper, gold. These are all metals again which can shine. If you polish it enough, they will shine. So again, metals like gold, aluminium, silver, copper, all these are wonderful examples of materials that can shine, whereas for non-metals you have rubber, wood, paper, all these, even if you shine light on it, it does not shine. So these are the properties of property of material in which appearance comes into play. Moving on to the second property. Now, when you this is another question that I would like to ask you guys. If you hold a a sack of jute, and then you have a silk scarf, which one do you think would be a little softer, which one would be a little lighter to see, or lighter to feel? Obviously, yes, because silk is much more softer. So this other property that we're going to talk about is nothing but the texture of the material. Texture is nothing but the look and the feel of the material. Now, like for example, some items are very smooth texture. That means the surface is very smooth. You can just, like for example, silk, it's very smooth. But for some, it is very rough. For example, jute, even though it is made up of fibers, but again, it is a rough fiber. So these are different textures, and that feel of the object, of the material itself, determines what kind of texture it falls under. Again, like I said, for smooth, it's silk saree, marble floor is another brilliant example, whereas in rough you have jute, rope, or sandpaper. All of these are very rough substance, right? So what have you learned from today's class? From the past 7 minutes, 7.5 minutes, I've been talking about so and so stuff. Let's try to understand what we learned altogether. The first thing that we learned is that grouping of things according to its type is called as sorting. Then we learned that the criteria of sorting depends only on the property of the material. In the property of material, the first property that we learned was appearance. In appearance, the first and the foremost thing that we learned is that the property of material to shine is called as luster. And like we said, depending on the lustrous property, we have divided the elements into metals and non-metals. And then we learned about the texture, which is nothing but how soft, how smooth or rough the surface of the material is. So that is it for today, guys. We have completed the object around us, and we have started off with properties of material. In the next class, we'll be doing more such properties of materials. So thanks a lot for attending today's session. Thank you. Like, share, and subscribe, guys. Hit the bell notifications, so that as soon as I put up a video, you can actually see it. If you want to reach out to me, if you feel like there is a doubt and you need more clarification on it, reach out to me on anup.manoharan@vedantu.com. So until then, until I see you in the next session, take care, guys. Have a great day. Take care. Until then, good night. Have a great day. Bye.